I'm excited, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Global Gyal channel. This is your girl, Global Gyal, and we are here in Bali, Indonesia. If you don't know where that is, look it up on a map. I'm here with a special guest, and he goes by the name of...
Well, Bushbungalow.
Yes! Bushbungalow, who is from?
I am from Antigua.
Antigua, y'all, we're from the same country, Antigua Barbuda, and we're going to hear his story about how Bushbungalow ended up from Antigua, from birth to on this couch with me here in Bali, Indonesia. So I hope you're all ready, because I am too. Are you ready?
I am.
Alright. So Bushbungalow, is that the name that's on your birth certificate?
It's not. So my government name is Jermaine Jonas.
Jermaine Jonas. We only just met here in Bali. So that's cool. So a lot of this stuff that we're going to be talking about today is going to be very new information for me as well. Alright, so born and raised in Antigua.
Born and raised in Antigua.
Okay.
Until the age of 19.
Until the age of 19.
And then I migrated to New York City.
To New York City. Okay, so tell me about what was your childhood like growing up in Antigua?
I would say I had my relationship with food started at a very early age. I think I was probably cooking by the time I was 5 years old.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
In the kitchen with who?
With my mom, my aunt.
Yeah.
You know, they practically had to tell me to get out of the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I think I grew up in a very interesting time in Antigua in the 80s. I was born in 1977, and growing up as a child in the 80s, where we didn't have I would say the Americanization of our diet.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when we wanted milk, we would go see the milkman, and we would have people. We would buy our bread from the lady who came around with the bread in the basket.
Yeah.
And also my relationship with my obsession with farmers markets, etc., started at a very early age because we grew up in an area called Overs, which is very. I literally was like 2 minutes away from the market.
Yes.
So I would go to the market with my mom every Saturday, like clockwork, and
4 o'clock in the morning.
5 and we would buy our fruits and vegetables, etc., etc. So I've always had that relationship with that the farmers market and sourcing things locally, etc.
Yes, okay, I love that. And for those of you who don't know, Ovals is right in the center of town, St. John's in Antigua and Barbuda. So like you said, right next to the local market. So just being in and around that environment, I really, really like that. Like you said, locally sourced stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that time, there were probably 2 supermarkets in Antigua, Jews and Bryson.
Okay.
And we would probably go to the supermarket maybe once a month.
Yes.
So, but other than that, all our meats, all our other essentials were sourced from directly from the butcher or from the market. I'll give you a little more background. I had a lot of food allergies as a child. So I couldn't have any type of dairy. I was lactose intolerant, and I also was allergic to shellfish. So that kind of, cut the amount of things that I had access to. And then as a teenager, I think at about 14 years old, I became a Rastafarian and decided that I was going to be a vegetarian.
Yeah.
And that also meant having to also prepare my own meals because mom's like, I'm not making 2 pots, I'm not cooking twice for you. So what I did was I took all the foods that I knew, for example, pepper pot. I would just recreate the pepper pot, but just don't put any meat in it.
Yeah.
Or recreate our whole food soup, but no both. So that's how it really started out for me in terms of plant-based cooking. Just taking all the things that I knew from before and just basically taking out all of the meat or dairy out of the product, and then realizing that it was still just as good.
Yeah. What was it, I guess, about the Rastafarian way of life that made you decide as a 14-year-old, I'm gonna be a Rasta?
Well, I was always a very spiritual person, also very curious. I would say if I never became a chef, I would probably become a psychologist, because I've always been curious about the way people's mind work and the world. I'm just curious about the world. And yeah, I was actually going to church for a very long time, involved in the church, and then I decided that, you know, that wasn't the thing for me. And you know, Rastafarian really resonated with me, because I found all the elements of the church that I love, the spiritual aspect of it, without the, should I say, and I don't want to offend anyone, but you know, all the ism and schism that came along.
Yeah. That's completely understandable. And to come to that, I don't know, realization or choose that direction path at 14 years of age, it sounds to me like you know what you're about. You knew what you were about from young.
Yeah, you know, I've always kind of known what I wanted in life.
Yeah.
And you know, just like living in Antigua as a young child, I would watch the airplanes take off and land, and I would say one day I am going to be on those planes and I'm going to see the rest of the world.
I love that. Not knowing how or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What's one of your favorite memories as a child growing up in Antigua? And the Caribbean?
Well, I would just again, you know, we're the ability to, our connection to nature that we had there, especially during that time growing up for me. You know, we go pick dums, or we picking tambourine, or we picking cherries, or you know, picking mangoes. You know,
for fun as kids.
Yes. As kids, those were our snacks. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Primary school Antigua, secondary school Antigua.
Secondary, I am a graduate of the Antigua Grammar School.
Antigua Grammar School, all right. For those that don't know, that is the all boys top government school, one of the longest standing schools.
Yes, that is correct. So after I graduated high school, I actually stayed in Antigua, I think, for maybe 2 more years, and I tried my hand at going to the state college there.
Yeah.
But I just realized that just wasn't for
you.
And I decided to migrate to the United States and try to, you know, create a life for myself here.
First of all, what was that transition like? Was that the first time that you left the country, or you'd gone before?
No, I had visited the US several times before.
Okay.
And, you know, so it wasn't that big of an adjustment for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And even in the cold, like you'd been in the cold before?
I had never been in the cold before, so my first winter was pretty interesting, to say the least. But you know, eventually you get used to it if you have the proper clothing, proper shoes.
Yes. Yeah. And so I guess at what point did you know, because I don't know if y'all can guess right now, he is and he will give you all the accolades, a trained chef, executive chef, like lots and lots of labels, but at what point did you know you wanted to pursue that career of being a chef, and what was that first step in New York for you?
So one of the very first places that I worked at that really gave me a good foundation was a Caribbean vegan restaurant that was second generation. It was called Strictly Roots. And I would say this place was truly ahead of its time in terms of the type of ingredients that they would use. There was a lot of wild rice and sprouted grain breads, etc., things that now today are very niche.
Yes.
You know, they were doing this in the mid 90s, and Strictly Roots was a place that served the community, and also you would have all of these different types of people, different celebrities, etc., coming there. Yeah, Strictly Roots was the place that I kind of learned my foundation there, and then I just started going to different places, because the thing for me is that again, the curious mind always wanted to know more. So if I ended up working at a place and I felt like there was no more for me to learn, then I would just move on.
Okay. And did you start like line staff, waiter?
My first job, I was a prep and dishwasher.
Yeah, at Strictly Roots.
At Strictly Roots, and I eventually, you know, became cook, baker, you know, and even played a small managerial role in the restaurant
Okay.
in about, I would say, in about 2 years.
Yeah, and so that was your first. Did you ever have a job like that in Antigua, or was strictly just cooking
No,
in the house?
no, just strictly cooking in the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
After Strictly Roots, was that kind of the moment where you were like, this is for sure what I'm doing, what I want to do, where
I'll
it's
tell
in my
you,
life?
surprisingly, after my first day of working in the kitchen, I came home and I think I said to my friend, like, I don't think I can do this because my feet were swollen. I was dog tired.
I did not expect that.
Yeah, I said to my friend, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this.
Yeah.
You know, but I really loved it. I love, you know, it's always been an important part of my life. And just to be able to, you know, to pour your energy into that and see what it does for people was something that really fulfilled me as well. Yeah.
All right, so how does one go from first day as a dishwasher, wanting to quit, to, I don't know, I guess what was take me a little bit through that journey to what you would say one of the pinnacles of your career, I guess?
You know, I would say definitely that it was, and it wasn't always pretty. You know, I worked at places where I was fired, you know, for not doing a good job or whatever, and it was just all a learning process. But every place that I went to, I just tried to be better and better, and then, you know, moving from Harlem, because I was working in a lot of places in Harlem and the Bronx, and then moving into the city. It's moving into the city itself, where now you're exposed to all these different things that you've never known about, and all these different ingredients that you've never known about. And I think the best investment that I made in myself was going to culinary school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you eventually got there. Yeah.
Because you know, obviously, if you're, you know, you can know all of these things, but if you don't have this piece of paper, and at that time, I was not even able to afford culinary school, and thankfully, I'm a graduate of the Institute of Culinary Education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to the school.
Shout out to school. Work study program there. And so I worked in the student department for about almost 3 years to pay off my tuition. Again, one of the best things that I could have done, because it gave me so much real world experience. There's a lot of people who go to culinary school and they graduate and then they have this romantic idea of what their life is going to be as a chef. So working in the student department, the relationships that I was able to forge with people in the department, you know, working with a diverse group of people as well, because unfortunately a lot of people don't understand that part of the job is being able to work well around other people. You know, it's not just about the talent that you have, because at the end of the day, especially in that type of environment, it's about team success, not just about an individual. And you know, it took me a long time to learn that. You know, coming out, I thought I was a hot shot, and it was just all about me. And then I was very dependent on feeling motivated, which is you know, it's not a very good thing if you want to be successful, because you're not going to always feel motivated. You know? So you have to be it. That's where the discipline comes in, where you're able to, you know, to go into your day and do the things that you're supposed to do, even when you don't want to do it.
So you moved around New York a bit, worked around New York a bit. Did you only stay in New York? Did you travel elsewhere?
So I would say my my big break came when I was I ended up working with this company called the Juice Press. I came on as their executive chef. And you know, the Juice Press, if a lot of you don't know, the Juice Press became really, really big. From a reporter for the New York Times came to the Juice Press one day, tried the product and loved it. And they did a story on us in the New York Times.
Wow.
And you know, from there, the trajectory of the company just exploded. We went from one 400 square foot store in the East Village to now, I think the juice press is a national brand with like 72 locations nationwide.
What? And you were there for
From
that?
the beginning.
From
yes.
the beginning.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, and then we had all of these. Next thing you know, we have all of these very high-profile people. Kenny Dichter. Kenny Dichter is a guy who NetJet and sold it to Warren Buffett. A lot of the Yankees players came on board. Mark Teixeira, Russell Wilson, and so on came on board. And then after I left the company, I realized that people had such a desire to replicate what was happening, and that's how I ended up stumbling into becoming a consulting chef. And again, I left the company. I had one consulting job, and again, just very nervous, not sure, like, what am I going to do after this job is over. And it just went on and on. First, I had people who, in the New York area who wanted to hire me. Then it was places like Boston, and then people were calling me from Florida. Then it went to, okay, we want you to come to Canada to do a project for us. And then I'm in Russia, and I'm in India, and all these places, and it just happened very organically. And I think a big part of it is also your relationship to people as well. Because in business, people say it's business, it's never personal, but I can tell you it's always personal.
Always. Yeah.
So a lot of the opportunities that I got, I think were not only based on my talent and my skill set, but being able to work well with other people.
Yeah. Your interpersonal skills, which is as important as the talent that you have in the kitchen.
Very, very important.
Yeah. So networking, essentially.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. So how long were you working in the kitchen as a chef, like that career, before you pivoted to more consultancy?
Well, so I didn't stop working as a chef. The consulting usually involved work in the kitchen, etc. And then what I did was use the experience that I had gained from the juice press in terms of the operational experience, and then I was able to open a new frontier for myself, because now I wasn't just a chef. I actually had the operational knowledge
side of things,
the operational knowledge as well. So that allowed me to expand my portfolio in what I was able to do. Yeah.
Wonderful. So all this, you're saying that these opportunities, your skills, the skills that you have in the kitchen, but the skills that you have working and talking with other people and connecting with people, brought you to all over the world.
Yeah.
You saw the plane, you were going to get on the plane and travel. What about all of that and then Antigua? Did Antigua always have a place in your heart? Did you ever want to come back? Did you come back? What did that look like?
So I after I left Antigua, I can honestly say I wasn't really focused on Antigua at that time. I was more interested in what was going on in the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a big component of sustainability, etc. Those type of things, and help and reducing waste. And after I read I think it was maybe 2014, I read an article in the paper where they were talking about our GDP and how much of our GDP is spent on imports, and that really struck a nerve with me.
Yes.
And I decided there that I wanted to do my concept on Antigua, where the concept would be focused on zero waste and supporting local and regional produce. Not only for, and I think the biggest part of that was for us to get a sense of loving our own.
Yeah. National.
And
regional, national and regional.
And realizing that we can, what we have in the Caribbean is just as good as anywhere else.
Yes.
Because we have so many of these of our youth growing up, and you know, they tend to like shun away from anything that's local, or anything that's regional. They're more interested in, you know, American or French or British, whatever the case may be. So the idea of opening a concept where it's focused, really hyper focused on local and regional cuisine, like really appealed to me. And then in January of 2022, I moved back to Antigua, and that's where I opened Bushbungalow.
Bushbungalow, yes. So he has a restaurant?
Yeah. Originally, Bushbungalow was located on a farm, Wholesome Farm.
Yeah.
And the idea was it was Antigua and Barbuda's first minimal waste, plant-based restaurant.
Love that.
Serving only local and regional produce.
Yeah.
Within the confines of a working farm, and we had the tagline, grown here, not flown.
Yeah. Grown here, not flown here. Yes.
And again, we were doing our own composting, metal straws, trying to eliminate the use of single plastic.
And heavy on sustainability.
Yeah, heavy on sustainability, and also just that relationship, that sense of satisfaction, knowing that you're contributing to the local economy and also the farmers as well. So that was just really a thing for me. And at the end of the day, you know, hospitality is just it's my passion.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I didn't realize it at the beginning, but my mom, as a child, she would always throw these parties, and her thing for these parties, like, she wanted to make sure that she never ran out of food, never ran out of drinks, and just making sure that people were just always were taken care of. And I think, you know, that passion is instilled in me.
Yes.
Today I love to take care of people.
Yeah.
I love when they come to my restaurant or wherever I'm at, and I take care of them, I feed them.
Yeah. That's amazing, and I love to hear this. You definitely sound like your heart is in the right place for so many things around it. We are running out of time, everybody, so I have one or two last questions. One is, so what are you doing now here in Bali? And then to end, where do you see Bushbungalow in the next 10 years? And one piece of advice. So Bali quickly, Bushbungalow in the next 10 years.
Yeah, so I was fortunate in the summer of 2023 to be offered an opportunity to come to Indonesia as a chef consultant for a restaurant group, and I stayed here for about 7 months. And again, I met someone here who also is an owner of another large hospitality group, who have brought me back here again to help train, do some training with their chefs, and creating some systems of operation.
So this is two I guess working years of coming to Bali, and what do you think of it?
Indonesia and Bali as a whole, very, very similar to the Caribbean in terms of weather and the food and everything. So it's not a big adjustment. I love it here. The people here are very
so nice,
delicious food, etc. As for Antigua, I will be returning in December of 2024 to do season 4 of Bushbungalow.
Yes.
Where we not quite sure on our location. We're currently looking for a new location. But season 4 is happening, and just taking a lot of the things, the foods that have been inspired by here, and presenting them to the people.
What's the vision for Bushbungalow in, let's say, 10-15 years? Where do you see it?
Okay, so I would say, as far as Bushbungalow is concerned, it's not so important for me in terms of like individual accolade, etc. But I'm hoping to use it as a blueprint for other businesses to be able to become more sustainable.
Yes. I love that. So if you're looking for somebody to help you do that in Antigua, in the Caribbean, anywhere around the world, definitely check Bushbungalow, check Jermaine. We're going to wrap up right now, but Jermaine, I want to say thank you so very much for coming here, for sharing your story. I hope that others are inspired by you, from coming from a tiny island and exploring the world, but then also coming back to the region, coming back to your own country and helping to impact, and not just for us, but for the environment.
Exactly.
Like your business is operating in such a way where the environment is not harmed but helped.
Yeah, because you know Antigua is a very small island, and we have a finite amount of space for our trash. So
Yeah.
we have to come up with more sustainable ways to reduce our waste.
Yes, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
If you want to learn more about him and his story, look up Bushbungalows.
Bushbungalow Creations on IG.
Creation on IG, and you can follow. And yeah, thank y'all so much for watching, and until the next one, bye.